disturbed in my office because the marketing team are promoting Miss UTech to fundraise for their seminar and so on. So I've seen all sorts of business tactics utilized by the students. And you probably won't appreciate it now, but I guarantee it that in a few years' time, you'll look back and think, gosh, all these skills that I learned preparing for seminar, I'm using them. They're making me stand out as a staff member or as an entrepreneur. You probably don't realize it now, but I'm telling you that you will reflect and think, well, all these hands-on skills, it was difficult, and Mr. Cahoon was demanding, but it was for good. It's a balancing act, because when I look at my work-life balance, the honest truth is that it's not very good.
And it's the most pleasurable task to bring greetings on behalf of the school administration. And let me hasten to tender an apology for Ms. Celia McCoy, who is unavoidably absent. I'm particularly delighted to witness the culmination of what I know has been months of intense preparation, planning, coordinating, negotiating, forming, storming, and now performing. We laud your efforts to stage this conference against many odds. So serves a round of applause. Your chosen theme, Wellness-Centered Leadership for a Sustainable Tomorrow, highlights your collective understanding of the sustainability mindset and the inescapable wellness-centered approach required by leaders in navigating the future of business globally. No doubt the excellent foundation laid in the modules that you did from levels 1 to 3, coupled with the practical experience and exposure garnered through this capstone seminar module, has prepared the future for the world-ready leaders that you are. Allow me to use this time of greeting to express profound gratitude to key stakeholders for the pivotal role you continue to play as higher education partners. To your seminar facilitators, Mrs. Audrey Hastings, Vinette Rowe, and Mr. Maurice Cahoon, your role in learn and to grow and to make mistakes in a nurturing environment is commendable and will not be forgotten, and I'm sure the students would like to applaud you. To the guest speakers and the many presenters that you had throughout the seminar, thank you for enriching the learning experience of our students and sharing valuable insights and practical knowledge with them. We value the investment of your time and expertise and ask you to continue to provide the mentorship that our students need as they advance in their careers or they join the workforce. And we eagerly anticipate the wealth of knowledge that will be shared by our keynote speaker and other guest speakers this morning. And to the many sponsors and donors and contributors, be assured that the monetary contribution in cash, kind, or in other ways is a meaningful investment in the nation's future, and you will reap returns way beyond what any financial instrument or the stock market can offer. And we're very grateful. The students are very grateful, and we look forward to your continued contribution. And then to you, our students, and I dare say graduates, because I'm sure you're just anxious to get through the walls. You don't have to look so happy. Get through the walls of UTech. I encourage you to be solutions-oriented. See opportunities where others only see obstacles. I encourage you to be change agents. Challenge the existing status quo. Don't apologize for insisting on innovative and out-of-the-box solutions. Be humanitarians. Value people for who they are and not just for what they can contribute to the bottom line. Be ethical. And I'm quoting from the book of Proverbs, a good name is to be chosen over great riches. And finally, be global citizens. Resist the temptation to think only of yourselves, but in keeping with our national pledge, ensure that the wisdom and courage of your mind is truly dedicated to the service of your fellow citizens, so that, and we could say together, Jamaica may and play her part in advancing the welfare of the whole human race. I look forward to seeing you in the future as donors to this very same conference, speakers at the conference. Actually, last week, the marketing seminar, there were two presenters who I thought it was such a pleasure to see them. I'm sure our president will tell you that if you reach. I actually teach consumer behavior with 2 lecturers that I taught. So the sky's the limit. Enjoy the journey. We look forward to hearing great things about you. Have a great conference.
Thank you very much. Instructions. Thank you. Mr. Anderson. Yes, I'm okay. Just let me take the lights off. Yes. Wellness centered him. So I want to hear from you, students. University students. What are well, let me restate my question. Name one thing that you personally practice for your wellness. I'm sorry, ma'am. I hope that you can find an additional 4 hours of rest. Not possible. You're managing. Give her a round of applause, please. Thank you very much, Ms. Minto. Can I hear from anyone else in the room? Okay, we have two ladies before gentlemen. My time on my phone. I realize the phone takes away a lot of, I'm not going to say productive time, but it takes away a lot of time from awareness of nature. Nature, yeah. Yeah. Using my phone takes away a lot of time, a lot of awareness time from nature. For example, yesterday, I think it was Miss Taylor. It wasn't Miss Taylor, it was Miss, who was it? Someone showed me the sunset. And I have to be asking myself, I'm usually early for school, how comes it's the first I'm noticing the sunset? It's sad. But I really had to spend some, I didn't take a picture of it, but I did spend at least a good 2 to 3 minutes to really observe that view, you know? So that's my reason why I said it was almost a trick question as to how I incorporate technology into my wellness. You know, sometimes I have to put a pause on technology and just try to get out there and try to be in tune, realign myself with nature. So with that being said, can I hear from another member, please? How do you incorporate technology with your well-being? Or do you get rid of it like myself? Once you have the mic, you have to speak, sir.
We know, but you know, I'm not one for mics. Is it still? Okay, wonderful. Okay. My name is Javon Peters. It's very loud. From the Accounts Committee. And how I use technology with my wellness is I take 30 minutes out of my day and try to build something creative with that technology. Whether it is figuring out something artistic, building of visuals, doing some form of treatment or gaming. And I find that very important because a lot of us don't really know how to use the technology that is given to us in terms of building businesses or to even expand our knowledge, because there's a lot of things that we don't know, and the more you know is the more you can do. And that's it for me.
That's it for you?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Peter. Give him a round of applause, please. Last one. Last one.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jovan Mathan from the Community Service and Conference Committee.
Good morning, Ms. Mathan.
How I incorporate technology in my everyday, for my well-being, everything now is online, banking, can pay taxes, whatever you want to do. So to protect my wellness, my mental health actually, I'm happy for the online banking and everything that you do online because I don't have to deal with persons. I'm not a people person, so I don't have to deal with going in, speaking with someone, because then they might say something and, you know. So it's easy as well. So do everything online. So technology actually helps me not to deal with person. Not saying it's a bad thing to deal with people, the human aspect of it, but
yes,
for me it's better not to.
Oh wow.
I'm sorry, that's just me. So yeah, that's how technology, that's how I incorporate it in my are associated with my mental health, to protect my mental health.
Protect your mental health. Thank you very much for that, Miss Martin. Please give her a round of applause. I must apologize at this time that our keynote speaker, that's Dr. Tufton, is running a bit late. Therefore, with such a powerful start, we will continue our exploration of work-life integration. To introduce our second speaker, which is now our first speaker, please welcome our first Vice President, Kimon Campbell.
I'm trying to find on you. She's the one that's last to sleep. Oh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I adopt the protocols already established. Good morning. Our guest speaker, a medical doctor with a master's in professional organization development and change. A dynamic and visionary leader in workplace wellness and organization transformation. This seasoned expert brings over 2 decades of experience integrating clinical insights with organizational development and change. Widely respected for designing impactful wellness systems, he is dedicated to cultivating resilient, high-performing workplaces where both people and performance thrive. With advanced expertise in resilience, leadership, workplace stress, behavioral policies, and coaching, he has led transformative initiatives across diverse organizations. His work emphasizes practically evidence-based strategies that strengthens team, enhance culture, and drive sustainable results. A passionate advocate for modern leadership, his core focus is empowering leaders to foster work-life integration for sustainable performance. Through coaching, facilitation, and strategic partnership, he equips leaders and organizations with tools needed to build inclusive, adaptive, and thriving work environment. Ladies and gentlemen, let us stand and welcome our distinguished speaker, Dr. Ija Thompson. Thank you.
You know, I was just about to say I'm going to borrow that from my link. I'm going to borrow that profile from my LinkedIn profile, right? It doesn't sound that good. That was well done. You know, I'm sure that every single one of you has some issue with integration. There's some boundary in your life, whether it's school, work, it is service, school, it's family, otherwise. Raise your hand if you're having some challenge at some boundary in your life. All of us, right? So what we're going to talk about really is not just simply about work-life integration. It's really about life integration in of itself, right? And probably we could just jump to the next slide. And what I found is that, and you know, you guys are going to be quizzed right now, right? Because you're at school. So, and remember, you won't get an A unless you are able to answer me correctly. So, as we normally do in school, we're going to teach you first, and then you're going to give me back the answer, right? Good. So, when it comes to work-life integration, there are 4 things that, for me, that's very important for you to always hold in mind. And remember, what did I say? It applies to? It applies to everyone. All right, everybody gets the A so far, right? Now you need to keep the A now, right? So the first lesson that I've learned, you can press on it, yeah? Great.
is that when it comes to experiencing thriving between any two areas of our lives, a sense of thriving, who knows what a sense of thriving means? Let's take the first table. What does a sense of thriving mean? Yeah. No, you don't. Yeah, I think that's what most people associate it with, enjoying the things that you do. Some people add to it that you're growing, developing at the same time, right? But I think the enjoyment part, the energy part comes out, right? And isn't that what we want from all different areas of our lives? When we think of the different areas, we want them to energize each other. We want them to develop each other. Not true? Awesome. And so if you're going to do this, and, given that, I've been so blessed by your school to come and share this with you before you take up your major leadership positions, I hope you'll remember this one first. The ability to achieve integration or to be able to thrive at the intersections of your life involves the ability to separate, involves the ability to balance, and involves the ability to integrate. What did I just say a while ago? And so we find that the things that we learn, like how to manage projects, tasks, relationships, it's good to pass them back over into the other areas of our lives. Does that make sense? Great. And so when we learn good project management skills at our job, we can take them home and turn them into good parenting skills. Does that make sense? Or we can take them to church and we can run the church projects pretty good. Sound true? Very true, right? And so what are the three things? Let's shift back from the screen. Exam time. What are the three things that we will need to be able to thrive between the boundaries of our lives? All right, so that's what we call the first part of the answer. Now, the second part of the answer now, why do we need those three? Let's go with them one by one. So why do we need to separate? Why do we need to learn the skill of separation? We're going to give you one moment of grace, right? Fix this for the other one. But there are certain things that don't belong in certain places. And so we have to know that we separate those things out because it creates dysfunctions, right? But then the next one is about balance, right? So balance is about preventing. Awesome. So there are things that will naturally conflict. And so we have to put a boundary that allows them to not conflict, right? But there are certain things that reinforce or they enhance the skills in other areas. And because they enhance the skills in other areas, then what we find is that it's very good to integrate them. Does that make sense? All right, awesome. Now, would you believe that the very same principles apply to even the very same wellness conversations you were having before? I heard you talk about digital wellness. Anybody ever heard about digital wellness? Yeah, there's a term called digital wellness. It's no longer just physical, mental, spiritual, and all of these wonderful other 8 dimensions that you'll Google. But we do have digital wellness now because all of us, if you go on ChatGPT and Google yourself, you're going to see ChatGPT tells you a lot about yourself. So we all have a digital footprint and we all have a digital identity that helps us to navigate the world. Even if you think about just the type of devices you use, speaks to your digitalness. All right? And even when it comes to digital well-being, we have to know how to, what are the 3 things? There you go. So we'll find the good things that we can integrate. We'll find the things that conflict, and we put boundaries in them. And then the things that just don't work, as you heard earlier, you just avoid them completely because those will now create more problems. So it's also a wellness story. Now, that's lesson 1. So that's lesson 1 of 4. We must always remember, if we're going to thrive at the boundaries, then these boundaries requires us to be able to develop these skills. Now, these skills aren't skills that you're going to develop overnight. Some of these skills will take quite a while because some of us find it hard to say the word. Who has a problem with the word N-O? Yeah, yeah, all right, a lot of us, right? And some of us are Mr. and Mrs. Pleasers, right? Yeah, right? And so some of these skills take a little while to learn. And so we have to learn how to use our values to guide the way in which we make these decisions. Another thing that's very, very important to guide these decisions is to recognize how decisions are really made in the human brain. The human brain, most times, tends to have a preference for simple either-or decisions. You know, it's either I do this, I do that. It's either you or it's me. It's either you're right or I am. However, as management scholars, what have we learned about decision making? Who wants an A+ for that one? How about table 2? Somebody cheated a while ago. Management decisions are, say the word for me, complex, right? And so usually our decisions are rarely either or in management. Usually they are. Who can give me the A+ answer? When it's complex, it tends to be both and. All right? And so usually we have to figure out not just how to choose one over the other, but how do we do them together. And these 3 skills are the skills that helps you to now start making both hand decisions. They call ambidextrous leadership or paradoxical leadership. All right? So that's a lot of learning right there. I think I should have probably brought some stress ball to help to make a stressful conversation. All right, let's jump to lesson number 2. So, lesson number 2, what does it say? Somebody read it for me. Table 3, read it for me. You have to read for everybody. All right, so that's the theory, right? Now for the A+, who can explain what that really means? Which group can get an A+ for me? Why is the when more important than the what you do? Table 1. I love that. Time is important. There was actually a very interesting study done by a researcher called Dr. Graham Bell. Sorry, not Graham Bell, Dr. Bell. I can't remember his first name. But Dr. Bell did a study that looked at 1,000 executives at retirement. And at retirement, he asked them this simple question: if you should live your life again, is there anything that you do differently? Can anyone guess what the number 1 answer was from these 100 retired executives? Thinking that they had more time? Very good answer. Spend more time with the family? Very good answer. Tables at the back. Come on, guys. You guys haven't hit the grading board yet. Don't wait too long. I love that. And I think you're closer than everybody else, right? And the number 1 response was that if I should live my life again, I would recognize that life is not practice. And so I would make better decisions sooner. So whether that's about my health, whether it's about my well-being, or otherwise, I'd have made better decisions earlier. I would not have waited until my wealth started to be spent on my health before I started looking about my health, or when I lost my family because my children don't know me anymore, that I now started to try to build a relationship. So when is more important than the what? And when it comes to thriving at the boundaries of your life, when do you think is most important? Come on, my table to my far right. When do you think is the most important time to start? Oh my gosh, you guys have it all. All right. I think I'm going to give A++, right? Now is the time, right? Now is the time to do it. And we say now is the time to really prepare for the skills that you need. Because what you find, if you wait until I need to be able to separate, and then I find out that, hey, I brought the wrong behavior to work, guess what's going to happen? What's going to happen if I brought the wrong behavior? Like, you know, take for example, I touch somebody the wrong place. Yeah, you get fired, right? Yeah. So the time to learn about separation is not when somebody wants to separate from you, right? So we need to learn these skills now. We need to learn to practice the skills of separation, balancing, and integration from now. So second rule is the when is more important than the what you do. And the what is really about learning the skills, right? And putting the skills into practice. But when you do it is more important because the consequences, as you would have heard from those, from the feedback from those 100 executives, may not be the one that you really want to give. All right? So let's hope that when you retire, your answers will be completely different. Will that be so? Raise your hand if you will have a different answer. Awesome. All right. So my table at the back for the A. What's lesson number 2 you must remember when it comes to thriving at the boundaries of your life, work and life or otherwise? What's lesson number 2 to remember? And if you so choose to cheat, we won't give you the A, but if you can remember it out of your head. Lesson number 2 says, no, help them. They won't get a better grade. Yes. Come on, guys. I think I only have 15 minutes left, right? There you go. The when is more important than the what. All right, but we did the what before, right? What you will need to build the skills in. But the when is more important. And that when is? Awesome. Let's go to lesson 3. And so lesson 3 really speaks to the fact that on the journey to being able to use these skills well, we must recognize that it's not about a destination of perfect alignment, perfect balance, perfect separation. It is said, whether biblically or otherwise, that we are perfect imperfections. Who agree with that statement? There you go. We are perfect imperfections, right? And so we're always becoming our best self. And it's so important that you recognize that on this journey, that it's really a journey. Just like anybody who's been on a road trip? What's the nicest part of a road trip? The view. There you go. Right. So some people say it's going there, right? It's getting there. Are we there yet? But other people will say it's the view. Other people will say what? What else is nice about going on a road trip? There you go. The people you go with. Sometimes we spend all this time and focus looking at trying to get to this end outcome when the most important, the most valuable thing is right beside us. The view, people, the experience, the learning, the growth, the development. And so that process that you go through to become the better you is an important thing to recognize. So as you go through to be able to make better use of your boundaries to thrive by using the skills. What skills are there again? Awesome. So as you practice to use them, don't expect to get perfect at day 1. But enjoy the journey. Enjoy doing it with others, your family, your friends, your co-workers, and enjoy the view. Enjoy the view of yourself as you see yourself develop and grow to be a better leader, that you can in turn lead your teams and help them to learn to do this better. So my table to my far left, lesson number 3, my far left. What's lesson number 3? So it is a journey and not just a destination, right? So achieving the best from thriving at the boundaries, because I'm trying to intentionally not use work-life integration, because work-life integration is just one skill. It's a combination of skills that you need, right? Let's go to the last lesson. And the last lesson is about making the corrective moves. And so life happens. You know, we all get carried away, right? Many of us, exams coming in 2 weeks, but guess what? We have to go to the family getaway. We know that, guess what? Our relationships are important, but guess what? We have to be beating our books, right? But then our partner say we don't love them no more. Not true. It all happens, right? And so we have to take periodic, intentional effort. We have to be intentional to ensure that we recalibrate periodically. I always say take about 20 minutes out of every 3 months to recalibrate. Now, how do we recalibrate? Now, I want everybody to go to a blank sheet of paper, and I want you to remember this recalibration technique. It's called the life wheel. So everybody find a blank sheet of paper. Feel free. You won't need to change any more slides. That's the last, well, there's one last one. Everybody has the blank sheet of paper? What I want you to do is to draw a big, draw a round circle. For some of you, the circle might fill up the paper. It means you have a big life. For others of you, it might be a small circle. It means you like smaller things in life. Ladies, stop the laughing. I don't know what, I see it, you know. Come, stop the laughing. So, whatever size your circle is, what I want you to do, like a pizza, I want you to divide it down the middle horizontally, across the middle horizontally, and down the middle vertically. So you're going to end up with 4 quarters. My Lord, your circle big, Dedo. What a big life. No, those are the lives I want to find out, you know. We have to sit down our session to talk about that life. Oh, you're right. All right, and then the last thing is to use 2 diagonals to divide those 4 quarters. And so what you're looking at is a pizza of your life. All right? So this pizza represents your life. And what I want you to do, where each line touches the circle, I want you to pick the 8 most important roles and areas of your life. And so let's give some examples. You may say, spirituality is an important area of my life, or being a student or a parent is an important role in my life. Or some people might say exercise, my body is very important. So whatever comes to your mind, on the outside of the circle, where the line touches the circle, just write the 8 most important roles and areas of your life. I give you 2 minutes to do that, or 1 minute. I don't want you to overthink it. You know, just really just go with the flow and what comes to the top of your mind. 8 most important areas of my life. Probably what I'll help you to do for me, you're going to fly all the way down until you get to some blue circles. It's many slides down. There we go. Jump one more. So for some people, your circle will have something like this: health, partner, being a parent, being a having colleagues, being a friend, being a community leader. But these are just ideas. Let's jump back. Yeah, jump back. Yeah. No. Just one slide back. All right. So by show of hands, have I have my 8 most important areas and roles of my life? Great. So our next task is to put a 0 in the middle of the circle. And then inside of the circle, where the line touches the circle, put a 10. Just look at the screen. So in the middle of the circle, put a 0. And on the inside of the circle, because remember on the outside of the circle, you already wrote the 8 most important areas of your life. And so you put a 10 on the inside of the circle, going all the way around for all the lines. This is really creating a scale, a measurement scale. All right, everybody has 8 most important areas. Your 0 in the middle, and your 10's going around. Table 1, ready? Table 2, ready? Biggest and best table in the room, ready? Hold on, let me hear that again. Biggest and best table in the room, you ready? Hold on, I'm not sure which table that. Let's go again. Biggest and best table in the room, are you ready? Yes, we are. All right, so we know it's definitely not the back tables. It's somewhere in the middle, somewhere around here. Let's go again. Biggest and best table in the room, are you ready? Yes, we are. All right, sounds like it's from up this side. All right, that's it, right? All right, so let's go. So what you're looking at, if you look at it visually, you're looking at the 8 most important areas of your life, 8 most important rules and areas of your life right now. Now when you look at that, what's it saying to you, just looking at it? Does it look like you? It looks like you. Awesome. All right, so let's move to the next step. And so the next step is that you're going to need to rate each of these. And to rate each of them, you're going to rate them by the amount of effort and time you put into each. And so between 0 to 10, where 0 means no effort at all, and 10 means I put all of my effort into this area, put an X on each and every line. So you're going to rate the amount of effort and time you put into each of these areas. And to rate it, you simply put an X between 0 to 10. 0 means I put no effort and time in this area, and 10 means I put all of my effort and time into this area. So you just put an X on each line, and then, jump the slide for me, you just connect the X's together, and you're going to get a polygram. Is somebody laughing already? You're going to tell me why you're laughing? You get a polygram already? You have your polygram already? Yeah, we're getting the X's, all right. So we need to get to a polygram. So put in, is there anybody who does not understand the instructions? Raise your hand, please. If there's any instruction ambiguity, just raise your hand. Okay, everybody seems to be good. I love working with students. Everybody, all right, so let's go. If you have your polygram, say polygram. All right, not hearing enough. If you have your polygram, say polygram. All right, so it looks like about half the room is through. We're going to give you guys just 10 more seconds to get your polygram. earlier, somebody said it don't know what kind of shape this is. It's shapely though. Coca-Cola bottle? It's shape. All right, so here comes the next question. Look at what you're seeing in front of you and ask yourself, what is this saying to me right now? Look at your polygram, look at the 8 most important areas of your life, and ask yourself, what is it saying to me right now? So my table to the left back, I haven't heard anything from you yet. Who has done their polygram? Great, awesome. What is your polygram saying to you? Who has our microphone? Anybody has our microphone that we can share? And of course, my table to the middle right as well. We want to hear from you. And then of course, our loudest table in the room will close. I don't know who's at the table, but somebody's loud at that table. We're going to talk about this big life right here as well. Yes, go right ahead. When you look at your polygram, what is it saying to you? And you don't have to spill no beans, nobody have to know about your life. But just what is it saying to you?
My polygram is saying that there's no balance. So there are areas where I need to put more effort into.
So you're saying there are important areas of your life that you're putting less effort than you'd want to.
Yeah.
And there are other areas of your life that you believe that has a lot of effort but less could go into them.
Yeah.
How many persons find that? Yeah, I think that's the most common response. Okay, let's pass the mic to here. Mid right. Yep. Looking at your polygram, what is it saying to you? The mic already. The Lord has so moved the mic to you. Speak up. Let him speak through you and empower and brighten the room.
Really different. Okay, hear me?
Yes.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Renee Carzel of the Community Service and Conference Committee. It's not different. It's really the same thing.
Everybody life different. Look at your polygram.
No, it's really the same thing. I mean, it's the scale is moving more towards 10. So it's like the what you call it?
Yeah.
It's bigger, you know. So it's.
Oh, so it's like your life to spread out.
Yeah, all over. No, literally all over the place.
No, that's completely different, you know. So it might sound like the same.
What I'm saying is not balanced. But
And I think I get the phrase, it's not balanced. But remember, as we said, it's a mixture of separation, integration, and balance, right?
Right.
So the question for you is, what skill do I need to invest some time in? Do I need to separate myself from some things so that I can reduce the amount of effort from so many things?
Yes.
Right?
I think I need to put my attention into some other things,
Yes.
more important things than the less important things.
There you go. Right, and that's a second common answer, right? We find that we spread ourselves thin. So a lot of things are important, and we're in everything that's important. All right? And so the last table that we want to touch on is the loudest table in the room. Yeah. Just let the Lord move you. No, right? No. I think you have wax in your ears, you know. We're going to give you some wax all when we finish. Loudest table in the room. Let the Lord move you and give the mic to somebody. Just close your eyes and give it to somebody. When you look at your life, what is it saying to you?
All right. Good morning, everyone. Sachin Wong from the Logistics and Operations Committee. My polygram is, I just want to point out that I originally thought that initially it was supposed to be what we think our lives should be.
So I love that. No, so let's pause. That's powerful, right? A lot of us live the lives that we believe we should be living and not the lives that we've been called to live. And that's very true, right? And I want us to get this. As students, we learn about the imposter syndrome and all of these things. Not true? And even though it may not be true for you, but I think you hit, and I know why the Lord moved the mic to you, right? I want you to realize in leadership, that's a real problem as well. We believe that there's a model for the ideal leader, and we must fit that mold. But in fitting that mold, we sacrifice our families, we sacrifice our spiritual development, we sacrifice our well-being, because this is what we should be doing. Now, thank God you guys are doing a wellness session before you graduate, right? And let's hope that you hold on to this. I live my life authentically. I live my life in alignment with my calling. I become the best that I can be and not someone else. Say it, amen. Amen. All right.
Amen.
Good. All right. Let's see what you said. Right. Now that was the message that I want you guys to take away. It's very powerful because many leaders in the middle of their careers jump to something else. They go on all sort of wild chases, third wives, and all sort of things because they lived a life that wasn't theirs. Somebody else third wife over there? I'm so sorry if I stepped on your toe.
Alright, so looking at my polygram, initially it was what I thought it would be, or what I think my life would be, and
Yes.
judging by this polygram, it's close to perfect.
It's close to perfect.
Close to perfect.
All right, that's the least common answer.
And I'm not afraid to tell you what I have, so briefly, I have family, professional, health, peace, freedom, love, joy, and most importantly, God.
Awesome.
Alright, so the areas where I fell short in was around family and health.
Do you think you could put a little bit more there?
And that was just what I thought it would be. So I realized that in attaining the life that I want,
Yes.
I have to be sacrificing something, because really and truly,
True.
everything is important, but not everything can get the same attention.
True. We only have how much? 24 hours in a day, right?
Exactly.
365 days in a year.
Yes. So after reassessing and actually putting the numbers to how my life is right now,
Yeah.
it's
It's as good as it can be.
It's as good as it can be. It's definitely not perfect, and I realize where there are some areas where I definitely need to work on.
All right. So give my amen for that. All right. But you know the interesting thing is that he's a continuous improver. It is where it should be, but guess what? I'm going to make it better. And I think as a leader, that's where we should always be, right? Always never get comfortable and complacent. The number one challenge that leaders find is that they become comfortable with their success until that success becomes replaced by another. All right? So never become complacent with your success. Remember, you're God's perfect imperfection, and you continue to strive towards it. Well said. All right, so that's part one. Let's go to part two, right? And so part two is pretty much where our good friend started a while ago. Let's imagine it's 3 months from now, and our effort and time is being put in a way that we really want it to be. Am I out of time? Oh, I'm out of time. All right. So let's wrap this with you very quickly. 3 months from now, it's where you want it to be. Put the X's, put a second set of X, and put a second polygram. That you're going to complete on your own because I'm out of time. That's 3 months from now. Now, all I need for you to do to write below the polygram, once you've done it, write below the polygram, what are 3 things that I can start doing today to move towards the polygram I want 3 months from now? What are 3 things that I can start to do today that can move me towards the polygram that I want? All right? And so literally you're going to put on item 1, item 2, item 3, remembering that some of them going to involve balancing, separation, and integration, right? What are 3 things? Pick the 3 things. All right? So with that said, I hope that you remember that number 4 is about taking periodic times to reflect. How often? Every 20 minutes, every 3 months. I think we just did that in about 10 minutes a while ago, right? So So I hope for each and every one of you that you picked up something useful from our conversation. And so I'll come back to my big life friend here to just share what's one thing she's taken away that she'd love for the rest of her friends to hold on to as she thinks about what she learned from the session. My big life friend. Of course, you're my friend that writes big. What's one thing that you're taking away that you'd love for all your colleagues to remember as we move away from here? We have to pass the mic quickly. Where did our mic go?
My name is Jovan Matan from the Community Service and Conference Committee.
You just have to hold the mic a little closer.
My name is Jovan Matan from the Conference and Community Service and Conference Committee. Sorry. What I've taken away from here, and what I'd like my peers to know.
A little closer.
The second lesson is the when is more important than the what.
Yeah.
Like you said, the when, which is now.
And you all wrote down your 3 things. So that's your commitment to start now. Those 3 things, right? Not tomorrow, not next week, today. You're going to start working on those 3 things. So 3 months from now, your polygram looks the way you want it to look. Well said.
What you do is important, and we're not taking away from that. While that is important, we should actually be starting. We should have started already if no one has started as yet. And also to appreciate what we have been given. To just, sorry, lost focus.
That's all right. I think you said a very powerful. Let's give her a round of applause for. Yeah. I think you said something very powerful, which is the now. The when is more important than the what. And I hope each of you are taking away your own points, right? So, with that said, questions. And so, I'll open the floor and allow you guys to throw your questions. Microphone.
All right, good morning again. All right, so quickly, my question is, you stated in lesson 2 that the when, and my colleague had reiterated the point, the when is more important than the what. My philosophy is that when you speak about when and what, there's also why. Why is also very important. But for this specific question, it is how do you decide when to do the what?
Yes. And you said it perfectly well. It's the why that drives it. It is your values, it's your purpose that tends to help you. And I mean, you've articulated some powerful values and some powerful areas of your life that's helping you to drive the decisions that you're making right now. And so each of us, the things that we choose to focus on, if they aren't aligned to our values and our core calling, then what we find is that making the decision to do the when now becomes more difficult if we're not very clear about our values, our purpose, our divine calling. So, well said. I think you answered it as you went through. So for each of you, hold on to that why. Why do I want to move my polygon up into a different shape in 3 months. And that will help you to ensure that they win. Last question?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Teji Stewart of the Professionalism Committee. So my question is a bit, well, there's a question, but also an adage, an old adage I like to reference to the question Mr. Wang just spoke of, which is, he who has a why can survive anyhow.
True.
But from a career perspective, and I'm really struggling to manage it. And I'm working in an environment now that it is significantly fast-paced, and everything is dealt with at the same level of urgency. And I've learned that you have to incorporate some amount of disappointment because it can't be treated with the same. So my question is, how do you manage the disappointment without the ripple effect of it coming back to bite you in the long run?
Yeah, so as we said, you know, these principles are universal. Boundaries are everywhere, and boundaries are within, intersections are everywhere, and intersections are even within intersections themselves. All right? And so as you think about the space of work, and we have the intersection of deliverables versus development, competing time constraints or otherwise, the very same thing will have to be has to guide you, right? As we said, you have to develop the skills of knowing what needs to be eliminated. In other words, separate. What is creating conflict, and how can we put boundaries in place that are helpful? And if you do the very same circle, but do it for the specific area of focus, then you will find that what you're putting your effort and time into versus what you need to put your effort and time into becomes very visible on the circle. So instead of having a life wheel, a work area wheel or a task area wheel, and you do the very same exercise, and the very same exercise can help you to start to visualize the areas that are creating conflict, and then you can say, okay, in 3 months or in 2 weeks, where do I want this to go, and what are the 3 things I can start with? And so you start to put those skills in, but remember what our good friend said, get your why clear. You know, what are my values? What's my purpose? If I should be able to write out in 2 to 12 words, why am I here in life? Or if I should think about a very meaningful reason for the things that I do, how would I write that out in 2 to 12 words? Then that can be the guiding calling card to help you to make the decisions that you make. So hopefully that is helpful. A lot of these things has to go into much deeper context than we have the time for, because a lot of times for the intersectional challenges that we face, we find that sometimes we face them when we're already at a point of disruption. So in other words, the intersection has been in so much tension for so long that we're just surviving rather than thriving. And because we're just surviving, then we have to now get out of survival mode first before we can actually do the circle, because our judgment is now skewed. So we have to take some time off, we have to renew ourselves, replenish, come back and make the decision if we're in a state of complete disruption. But we might be before the disruption, we might see it coming. And so it gives us a chance to plan. Or it might be after the disruption. You know, things have gone so bad, you know, things have slipped away. Okay, I need to rebuild, I need to bounce back. And so in bouncing back, I plan a better life. And so the second polygon becomes the better life that you plan. So hopefully that's helpful. All right. So guys, thank you for having me. Hopefully the session was useful for you. And hopefully as you become leaders in your own area, that you apply these things. Awesome. Bless you.
To express our gratitude for the insights shared by Dr. Ija Thompson during this session, please welcome Onique James of the Professionalism Committee with the vote of thanks. James.
Good morning, everyone. I adopt the protocols previously established
On behalf of the UTech General Management Seminar, I extend our sincere appreciation to our esteemed guest speaker, Dr. Ija Thompson, for his outstanding presentation on balancing life wellness. Dr. Thompson, your presentation was both insightful and highly relevant to us as emerging professionals. You challenged us to think beyond traditional approaches to wellness. You emphasized the importance of balancing, separating, and integrating with our wellness. The practical insights and real-world perspective you shared have equipped us with valuable tools that can carry us forward into our academic and professional journeys. Thank you for reminding us that balancing wellness is a journey and the time to start is now. We are truly grateful for your time, expertise, and experiences you have shared with us today. Your contribution has not only enriched this seminar, but has also inspired us to become more intentional, balanced, and effective leaders. Once again, Dr. Thompson, thank you. Also, you're most welcome. Also, please accept as a token of our appreciation.
I need a cameraman like that. Like I'm coming back every year. Yes. Bless you. Thank you so much. All right, you guys enjoy the rest of your conference. Bless you.
Thank you very much, Ms. James. At this time, I have to inform everyone that Mrs. Jillian Mitchell, Program Director, General Management Division, is here. Help me give her a warm Geminar welcome. Please stand. Welcome, Ms. Mitchell. We will now continue with our opening greetings. I want to invite Mrs. Olubusola Akin Ladejo, Acting Dean of the College of Business and Management. Ma'am.
Good morning, all. I too will stand on the protocol already established before I got here. Let me start by apologizing for coming late. Somehow, the conference center stuck in my head. So I drove all the way to the conference center. And the security said, but there's nothing happening here today. I said, so I called Mr. Kohun and I said, Mr. Kohun, where's the conference? He said, Summit. I said, Summit? I drove past Summit, go downtown, and I had to drive back. Sorry. So please accept my apology. I'm sure you've all been having a very good time. I was here, I listened to the presentation of the last speaker, and I took notes. I learned a lot. I hope you all learned a lot too. Now, let me just briefly, I've been asked to bring greetings. I know Dr. Tofton is on his way, so I'm going to be very brief. But I want to highlight, first of all, I want to say that you chose a very important topic or conference theme, if I might call it that. Wellness-centered leadership for a sustainable tomorrow. Now, the reason why I say it's a very important theme is because of what is happening today. If you all notice that since the pandemic, and now we had the hurricane, we've had so many persons with mental health challenges, and I've had serious challenges with the work-life balance that we all heard about a while ago. More and more we find that persons, especially persons of your generation and younger, finding it very difficult to cope with everything that they're bombarded with. And so it is important as leaders, emerging leaders, that you not just focus on the getting the work done and being perfect and being the department of the year or the most outstanding unit in your organization. But you have to, whilst not just concentrating on that, it's now time to concentrate on the persons who serve you and who you have been put in a position to lead. Some of you will be leaders of one, some persons will be leaders of 3, some will be leaders of 10, 20, 30, 40, 100, 1,000. Irrespective of the number of persons you have been asked to lead, always note that leadership and service go hand in hand. The persons you lead and serve want sometimes persons who would empathize with their situation, persons who will be concerned about their family, about their well-being, about their work environment, about, you know, the things that are important to them in life. And so I want to encourage you all that wherever you find yourself, ensure that as a leader, you have the mental health awareness that is required for the persons you lead. Be environmentally aware. Be welfare-centric. Empathize. Be family-centric. After all is said and done, you're going to be left with your family. You're going to be left with your friends. As you climb the ladder of corporate world and corporate achievement, know that when you climb the ladder, at some point in time, you'll be coming down that ladder. And when you come down that ladder, there must be persons waiting at the foot of the ladder to embrace you and to welcome you back home. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Miss. I'll save myself this time. Guess what? It is now time for first break. We will return at 11:05 a.m. It's a wellness break. You can move around, stretch your legs and so forth. Yeah.
fellow driver. All the drivers out there. Yeah. Lady. Love you, know. What's up? Just was. You listen first. Yeah. Now listen. I say, even if the sky's falling down, I walk through the fire, through the pain. Yeah. Baby, I can be it down. Find it anywhere you want to. I can be it so high. Yes, I'm a fight for you. Like you love and I feel love like hey, who did you want to be so right? I want you to like paradise. With me you must stay. Take me to your secret place. I just wanna slide in, slide into the ocean, slide in. Come and come on, let me ride in. Girl, you know my vibe. Never knew nobody before. If you're lost in the way, I'ma find you. If the cry up ahead, I'ma hear you. If it's time that you leave, give me love and affection. Baby, I could be a driver. Anywhere you want to. And I can be your soul. Yes, I'm a ride for you. Baby, you know that. Can you be the first to see when you know my heart is yours and it's yours to stay until the end of days. Take me to your secret place. I just wanna slide in, slide into the ocean, dive in. You make me come on and make it right in. Girl, you love the vibe. Never knew love like this before. If you're lost in the way, I'ma find you. If you're tired of the help, I'ma hear you. If it's time that you need love and affection, hey, baby, I can be your driver. Anywhere you want to, I can be your soul. Yes, I'm a fight for you. Baby, you know that. Good woman. She kissed me first in the morning. Then she said, baby, I got good day. She know your family, she got it. Tell me what more can I say? He's like Taiwan. One man in the yard. I wanna go to man. I wanna go to man. Like Taiwan. One man in the yard. I got to go to man. I got to go to man. She's the one who to do the night. Baby, I am not because I can't believe more of everything that's guaranteed. Control boss, she's got that attitude, that's her style. If you need a fool, then she change the mood. It's her smile, all this can be real. Like I want, what you're needing. I wanna go to man, I wanna go to man. I can want what you're needing. Take good care of me until the end of the vertigo. I'm so shook, she don't even know. Ain't just one word, what can be had? We found a good woman, we found a good woman. Yes, I want, what can be had? She me take us in the morning, and she give me love, she me good, and she give me love in the evening. Tell me one more can I say, I say she me take us in the morning, and she give me love, she me good, and she give me love in the evening. Tell me what more can I say? Judgment. I believe feature party ranking. Listen. This is a public appreciation to even order.
Some more prayer for the youth them, and more love to the youth them. Original Chronics from Spanish Town, Jamaica, alongside Zinc Fence, 1 Yard, East.
1, 2, 3,
Jack music, see? And we also give thanks for life in these times, you know. We give thanks to, I always have to give thanks to be alive, and we say, more love and more life to all the people out there who is living the human struggle, you know what I mean? Facing the human crisis, you know, solving the human problems. We respect to all the people who serve each other to solve humanity. See, not only one world, we respect them. Because we are the right things, the right things.
this time, let's take a moment to be entertained. Please welcome our very own Akin Miller from the Logistics and Operations Committee.
All right, so good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Our morning still, right? Good morning. Good
just before daylight. If what's good attack and expose me thoughts, yeah, me no know me survive. The pill I know the weight of the burden me carry every night on my mind. The only people me can turn to, I be the worst to. Life no always fun, better must come. This one is for all who I give up and done. Say, I've been there. Guys, please sing. Well, if I fight to fight, would I need 1,000 books to write? Yeah, say, guess what? Everything go alright. Remember the darkest part of the night. It's just before daylight. I've been there before. Well, if I fight to fight, would I need 1,000 books to write? Yeah, I've been there before. Everything I go alright. Remember the darkest part of the night. It's just before daylight. You want to sing with me? I've been there before. Well, if I fight to fight, would I need 1,000 books to write? Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Miller. I can say we all have been there before. Please stand. Hold on. was giving you some time to settle, sir. Wellness-centered leadership for a sustainable tomorrow. As we continue our session, it is time to hear from a leader who embodies these principles. To formally introduce our keynote speaker, please join me in welcome Miss Satania Jarrett of the Secretarial Committee to the podium.
Good morning. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, I adopt all the protocols previously established. A graduate of the University of the West Indies and Georgia State University, our key guest speaker has received, my apologies. I'm a little nervous. A graduate of the University of the West Indies and Georgia University, our keynote speaker received degrees in management studies and marketing, respectively. He is also a graduate of the University of Manchester in the United Kingdom and holds a doctorate in business administration. This dynamic speaker served as Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries in November 2008 to June 2011, as Minister of Agriculture. He spearheaded the expansion of greenhouse farming technology and the creation of agro-processing facilities. He redefined the sector's strategic importance to the Jamaican economy, repositioning agriculture as a business. Our speaker had the same drive and passion when he headed the Industry, Investment and Commerce Ministry from June 2011 to December 2011, where his focus was on investment facilitation, international market competitiveness, consumer protection, and the creation of a climate of confidence to attract investors. In recognition of his work, our speaker has received numerous awards and honors. In 2010, he was the recipient of the influential Jamaica Gleaner Man of the Year Award. In 2018, his Jamaica Moves initiative received the RJR Honor Award for Health and Wellness. He was elected president of Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, 59th Directing Council, which convenes health authorities to determine the organization's priorities and policies. After leaving government in December 2011, our guest served as the co-executive director of the Caribbean Policy Research Initiative, a University of the West Indies think tank, and as an opposition senator 2012 to 2016. This dynamic person is also a business strategist whose expertise includes international business and marketing strategy, specializing in facilitating foreign direct investment and the impact of public policy on industry. He has lectured and conducted business consultancy in Jamaica, the United Kingdom, and the USA in several areas, including international marketing, business strategy, and entrepreneurship. Our speaker is now Jamaica's Minister of Health and Wellness, Member of Parliament for West Central St. Catherine. Beyond his ministerial duties, our guest is also a prolific writer. He has authored 2 books, State of Mind, and his most recent publication, Wild Flavors, which offers insightful reflections on governance, leadership, and crisis management, with a particular focus on Jamaica's experience navigating the COVID-19 pandemic. Through his writing, he provides an in-depth analysis of decision-making in times of certainty and the resilience required to lead effectively. He was also officially conferred with the Order of Distinction in the rank of Commander on October 20th, 2025, in recognition of his outstanding service in public health and governance. His contributions to public service and policy continue to shape Jamaica's healthcare system, reinforcing his commitment to a healthier, more resilient nation. Last, but certainly not least, our speaker is a faithful and dedicated patron of the Hummingbird Charities International. Since its inception in 2023, Hummingbird Charities has emerged as a philanthropic powerhouse. Through its flagship initiatives, Hummingbird Feeds, Soul to Soul, and a Bossman Men's Healthcare, thousands of Jamaicans have benefited from outreach programs, footwear, and men's health awareness throughout Jamaica. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Dr. the Honorable Christopher Tufton.
Thank you very much. Really admire the student in all of you, standing up and giving a round of applause. Very well, very well. At least you deserve some commendations for that. How is that? I see you're taking a very dim view of life. You did an eye surgery? Got it. And that's good that you have the protection. And you have the best hairstyle in the house. Who designed it for you? Huh? You designed it yourself? Oh, one of your colleagues right here? All right, lovely. So I'm going to make sure my speech is shorter than my introduction. How is that? Introduction is kind of long, right? But thanks to the person who introduced me, I appreciate the accolades and the wonderful things said. I just want to say that the first thing a leader must understand is that we're not perfect. And we must be prepared to recognize the imperfection in us. But we must work towards overcoming those imperfections as a beacon, an example for others if you are providing leadership, right? So how is that? Can you think of the imperfection in you? You ever reflected on it? And how you're going to make yourself a better person? Whether a better human being to friends or family, a better person in business, a better person in your civic duties, at your church, your sports club, your community organizations, a better person for humanity and the world. We come, we see, we conquer, we move on, right? And at the end of it all, we only have ourselves to reflect on that stewardship. And you really want to sit back in a rocking chair and say, I did it my way, and I made the world a better place. How is that as an objective? If you agree with that, clap yourself just to encourage that thought. So let me begin by recognizing the master of ceremonies. Can't pronounce his first name, so I just call him Mr. Campbell. Dr. Kevin Brown, who is not here, because I know him, the president of UTEC. He may have been here earlier. Mrs. Aiken, acting dean, and that's because even though she's my friend, I can't pronounce her name, neither of them, right? But a good lady with a good husband, right? So I want to just recognize her, known her for some time. And of course, Ms. McCoy, head of the School of Business Administration, and other feature speakers who are here. I see Mr. Anderson, already Everton. He did? Okay. By the way, I should apologize for being late. Leaders must also try not to be late. How is that? Right? So you see one imperfection in me so far. But sometimes crises come up and it detains you. Mr. Latti, Group Head HR, Jamaica National Group. Mr. Morrison, Jamaica Stock Exchange. Ashley, Mr. Ashley, fitness coach, CEO. All right, so this, I believe, is the 25-26 General Management Seminar cohort of the University of Technology of Jamaica. And does that mean that you're out in the streets after this year? Wow, a lot of jobs on offer, right? What is the unemployment rate in Jamaica today? For skilled people. Your hairstyle look good too, you know, right? The unemployment rate is less than 4% according to Statin. That don't mean you have people who can't be employed, because there's a difference between those seeking jobs, those not seeking jobs, and those who really can't seek jobs at all. Which category is that? You ever talk to somebody and they say they want a job and you ask them what they can do and they say anything? You know what that means, right? Kind of hard, they don't have anything that they specialize in. But UTech has a reputation for producing good out for students going on the job market. So I want to recognize. So that's the first sign of an institution that's providing leadership. And you must be proud of your institution. You must wear the credentials as a badge of honor, but you must also live true to the legacy of the institution and ensure that you provide the best possible example of good leaders. Now, leadership is really a perspective based on who you are, what you want to achieve, and the roles and responsibilities that you have. In a sense, there's a leader in all of us. Even if it's just running your yard, right? You have to provide some leadership. Because if you earn $100 and you're spending $200, you're in trouble. Eventually, courts is going to come back and take back the whatnot, or the TV, or you can't get the pretty hairdo that so many of you have in the room. And so management of the simple things in life are very important. And we go to school not just to learn content, but to acquire a discipline, life's discipline. Because if you study and you pass your exam, you can apply that discipline to providing leadership in your organization, leadership in your home. Because it involves a couple of fundamentals. You have to have a vision as to what you want to achieve. Very critical. Because as they say, if you don't know where you're going, you're not going to end up anywhere. And some people just go with the wind, you know. They just float. You know, every fad that comes, them onto it. Let me see those who like fads. You know, the TikTok, the kind of TikTok culture, right? What is trending now? Anybody know what's trending? I'm sure every single one of you know what's trending. Right? Every one of you know what's trending, huh? What's trending? J. Raymond, exactly. And J. Ray look like a cowboy in the scheme of things. Disarm and retaliate. And the lawyers say in self-defense. We don't know that. Let the courts determine on that, right? But it's important that you know where you want to go and where you want to be. When I was going to school, I had a plan. As a matter of fact, let me back up a little. I have 3 children. I have a daughter who is 25 in med school. I have a son who is 30 doing his master's. And I have another youngster who is 20, all of them in university. And one day I went to pick up my daughter, who was at music class. And the teacher called me, and the teacher actually was a colleague of mine at university. And she said, Kimmy keeps telling me about her 5-year development plan. What is that? And my daughter was like, 10, right? I said, well, I kind of felt a little cutish. I said, well, I tell her that at the start of high school, she need a 5-year development plan. What is that 5-year development plan? I'm anxious to know. Politicians are supposed to have a 5-year development plan, right? The tenure. So I kind of stole the title or the concept. Well, he says, I must learn a musical instrument. I must have a foreign language. I must get grades of at least X on average. I must have one sports that I do at school and something else. I don't remember it now because my brain kind of tired, right? But the teacher was fascinated that this child has a 5-year development plan and she monitors the plan and work towards it. Well, I tell you, it kind of worked out. Maybe it's not because of me, maybe it's because of her and her own ambition, because she did extremely well. She's made school now, and the rest is history. The point I'm making is, even from the very early tender age, we have to, as human beings, individuals, and as leaders who are expected to provide guidance for those who are looking to us for leadership, articulate a vision that others can buy into. This is where I want to go. And the interesting thing about leadership, and sometimes we take it for granted, sometimes we see things that others don't see at all. Sometimes we want to go places that people think are impossible. You cannot achieve that. Leaders don't have a I cannot in their vocabulary. Leaders must see things that others don't see or can't see, but they have a passion to ensuring that that vision can become reality. Now, I have an accounting teacher, lecturer at university when I was a student, Mona, who told me that the first thing you do to realize your dream is to wake up. You ever hear that saying? So we can all dream, which is a very important thing. And that dream may be a tangible dream that you have for yourself. But they say faith without works, dead. So the next very important thing that I believe that a leader has to possess is the ability to have a dream, but to map out a plan to get to that space. So the 5-year development plan is good to talk about. But if you don't go to the music class and apply yourself to learning the musical instrument, or as a manager, if it is to become a supervisor and you don't put in the extra hours and understand your craft and your trade and demonstrate that you can be good at what you do because you have a plan and you will ask questions if you don't understand, then it becomes a challenge. It becomes just a dream. And you're not going to be judged on your dreams. You're going to be judged on your action. So when Martin Luther said he had a dream, you may actually be killed for it in some instances, because it comes with sacrifice and it comes with passion and belief into what you want to achieve. But you must map a plan. No, a leader should never think that he knows everything and have a solution for every single challenge or indeed the plan that you have for yourself. One of the things that I have depended on in my life, in my little contribution as a public servant, but also in other areas, is the ability to work with people and to find people who are able to work with me with the passion and the vision for the plan that I have. I am the one who have to motivate them. I am the one who have to engage them. I am the one who have to get them to believe. And they will come with different skill sets. If you as a leader are comfortable with the only smart person in the room, because everybody around you is a yes person, then you're not likely to achieve the objectives that you want. You must encourage conversation and debate and alternative views, even when it makes you uncomfortable. Because some of the best ideas come out of someone, maybe the least among us, as to an approach that you never thought about. Because the big vision is normally devoid of the micro considerations to get to that vision. What type of car you're going to drive, what kind of material you're going to use, what kind of branding you're going to apply, what kind of sales pitch you're going to push. Leadership must have the ability not just to have the vision, have the plan, you must be able to mobilize people. And people have to buy into what you're seeking to achieve. Now, if you are leading in a crisis, and I'm not here pitching a sales pitch, but you should buy wild flavors or go borrow it at the library. I think I donated some to UTech library. It's my account of Jamaica's response to COVID. I was the man on the bridge for all my sins. But I worked with a cabinet of Jamaica. I worked with private sector stakeholders, Ministry of Health people. Think about it. And you would have been during the COVID era, because you're not that young. In the last 100 years, the most significant crisis that the world has seen has been the COVID pandemic. And I tell you why. Because if you think about it, I apply one simple test. There is no other event in the world where every single human being on the planet at some point didn't entertain the fear that it could take them out. It could claim their lives. Is there anybody in this room who never at some point said, boy, this thing look like take out all of it? Did anybody not think about it? Even Donald Trump, who said he never believed in it, I am sure, was concerned. So what you had was a global crisis. And when people are fearful, when they are uncertain, they panic. They are gullible. They believe in every single solution. And in the age of the internet, everybody is an expert. During COVID, I've never seen so many experts. Some say you must use bleach. Some say use salt water. Some say use busy. Some say you must go down as St. Thomas to the man, but I mention that one. And even sometimes doctors had a solution for the problem, which was devoid of science in terms of virus, how it is spread, 8 feet apart. Them say, no, you don't need to do that, blah, 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 that sort of thing. So just think of yourself in a position as a leader, way through a crisis. And you can juxtapose it against a crisis in your organization. All of a sudden, sales drop. People are disgruntled. There's a revolt of one form or another. A new competitor come beside you and start to sell cheaper. Average person is going to express concern, but the leader is expected to come up with solutions. And in a crisis scenario, you have to determine what is your guiding light. In the case of COVID, I'm driven, and I said in my text, always driven by the science. So even though I'm not a medical doctor, I'm a social scientist, right? I allow the science to drive me. So the WHOs and so on, look at what the science says. And then all the alternative views, while it was important to entertain and listen, the decision has to be guided by something. And that's where the vision comes, supported by the expertise, all of which you won't have, but as a leader you need to find, whether through secondary interaction with secondary data or primary, the source that may be in the room with you. And so one of the first challenges of crisis leadership, to my mind anyway, based on my own experience, and in health we have had quite a few, COVID, chick-V, zick-V, dengue outbreak, man, baby fall off a bed, Cornwall regional collapse, every day there's a crisis, is to manage panic, manage uncertainty, manage fear, which means you have to know, bring down the temperature And you have to command the knowledge sufficient to explain for better understanding. And in an environment where there's a lot of noise, because everybody have an opinion, and everybody can access the opinion, you have to wade through that and become the voice of authority. And there are different ways to do that. Sometimes the voice of authority doesn't come from you. I am aware that politicians have a credibility problem. You know, them say all the way a thief, all the way this, all the way that. You hear it, right? Probably you all say it too, sometime. Sometimes the best voice is not from me, especially in this field. Sometimes the best voice must come from a clinician. So the chief medical officer, who is not a politician, even when I know what to say, I make her say it. Because leadership is about mobilizing people in a direction in the best way possible. And you don't really have to be the one in the spotlight all the time, even though we obviously love it. That's where the vote come from, right? So the management of people, people's emotions, the drive that you need for people to be motivated to move in a particular direction requires consideration and it requires context. So let me give you another example of crisis leadership and context, because context is critical to how we provide leadership in business or otherwise. So a lot of times during COVID, people complain about why we're not doing it this way. And the average reference point for the minimally literate but overly exposed person to the North American lifestyle, whether through internet, TV, or travel, is that in America, them do it so. Like that here. You ever hear that saying? That's what social media has done to us now. You know, we're all addicted to social media, right? And leadership requires us to recognize that, by the way. We need to manage addiction. Why we not do it like that? That's how them did do it. It's very important to learn from other people's experiences and to acquire sufficient understanding of things that have happened before us as part of the way forward, and to obviously build on it. But context matters. So in America, for example, they don't have a primary healthcare ecosystem. Okay? You don't have 325 health centers like we do proportionally in this small country. So they use pharmacies to distribute like COVID shots, injection. And in America, pharmacists are trained to administer vaccines. Now, I think pharmacists in Jamaica should be trained to administer vaccines. I'm saying that to you, Tech, too, by the way, right? And I think we need to move forward in that direction. And pharmacies should do more than they currently do, because they have a wide network, so they reach people. But in the COVID thing, it's never the case. So sometimes people are comparing apples with oranges. If the leader is not very grounded in the knowledge of these things, you run a risk of embracing what is impractical and may sound good, but not going to get you to the promised land. Certainly not going to save the lives or get the reach that you think. But you still have to do some things that culturally we're not accustomed to, but was possible. Those of you who went to the national arena to get COVID vaccine in the early stages would have seen the public health nurse juking everybody who come in, and the doctors stand up to the side because the nurse refused to allow the doctors to do the vaccines. Not because they can't do it, but because the public nurse say it's their job that. And the nurses are claiming their rightful role to vaccinate. And the doctors want to help. And the nurse say no. There are protocols around vaccination. One of which is that people must get the drink, and it must be in a sterile environment, as sterile as possible. That's how we started. How did we end up? I was in Falmouth Square. A lady was frying fish on a mango tree. Juke her in her hand under the mango tree and said, go back and fry the fish to make sure that she got the shot. In other words, the context of the circumstances required that those who wanted to be vaccinated with the COVID shot, it didn't matter really. We had to relax some of the rigidity of the measures. Now, that's not suggesting that we must break the law as leaders. Please, it's suggesting that we must apply some context to some of the decisions that we make. So you motivate people, but you have to also motivate them to achieve the particular objective. So, you know, you are in a sales job and you go into an entity and you automatically think that the decision maker is the boss. Well, you pass the supervisor on the floor and don't even say good morning to them. Now, when you walk out, say to the supervisor, what do you think about this product? And because the supervisor have you up because you don't say good morning, supervisor don't even know the product. I say, boy, I'm not buying a product there, boss. That product is not. Because you think that the decision maker is at the top office. The influencer is more important than the decision maker. Because it is the influencer who makes the decisions indirectly. And you must always identify within your entity the difference between those. What application of approach should be faced by that. So it's really about people. It's how you work with people. And the future allows you to work with a lot of machines, which require adjustments, you know, AI and all that. And you're going to have to apply yourself to that too. But ultimately, the people component will not be diminished in terms of certain decisions that you make as leaders. And you're going to have to manage that. And it doesn't mean that you have to be a hypocrite, although sometimes you have to be. You agree with me? There was the people in the hotel industry, them laugh 24/7. I don't know when they turn off. We politicians try to do that too, right? It's hard. It's hard to be agreeable every single time with every single person when you're just not in the mood. But it's the price you pay for the interaction and for the leadership that you have to provide. I want to shift quickly. How much more time I have? 3 minutes? Yes, thank you. You never really respond, but I know I'm late, so I actually have a meeting at 1 in my constituency, which is a little way from here, and the PM is going to be there. So I want to leave shortly, but I want to talk about wellness and leadership quickly, because wellness, if you look at the profile of the population currently, and the world actually, not just Jamaica, you'll realize that health is more determined by social issues than it is by clinical application. I'm a social scientist. When I came into health, I never knew nothing about doctor. In fact, I'm afraid of doctors, especially if they pull blood out of my hand. I don't want to see the needle and I don't want to see the blood. Right? But if you look at the profile of the population, health represents one of the biggest business opportunities for people like you, even though you're social scientists, not doctors. And indeed, the solution to health is more going to rest with people like you than with doctors. Because lifestyle is really what is determining sickness profile. 80% of our population, globally too, 70 to 80%, have met their demise through the choices they make, the environment in which they exist. Okay? So it's the salts, the sugars, the fats, the alcohol, the tobacco. It's obesity. It's hypertension, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, all classified as non-communicable disease. And I'm sure you know what that means, but Google it if you don't. As opposed to communicable disease. So as opposed to dengue, that the Aedes aegypti mosquito spread when it bites you. And we're endemic, so dengue is always going to be there. Every year the mosquitoes breed up, we have to get rid of them. It is more about the choices you make, the sugary drink, the decisions that you take onto yourself, lack of exercise, so on. So what is the future of leadership in public health? Future of leadership in health generally is a combination of personal responsibility, choices that we make, knowledge under the consumer's right to know about what's in their food, which link to personal responsibility, making the choices based on what you think, and your environment that we as policymakers have to create. So it's about nudging people into healthier lifestyle, which is more a social sciences challenge as opposed to being a clinical application. Solution to sickness is not on a prescription pad anymore. That time the horse gone through the gate. Thanks to Everton, whole heap of prescription pad can be written and you get the free drugs. But by the time you have diabetes or renal issues, you realize how debilitating that is for you for the rest of your life. It affects your work hours, your enjoyment, spend with family. I mean, it really starts to shift your quality of life. And if you read about longevity and quality of life, that is called the Blue Zone. That is the book I read to help me to understand the social determinants of health, which basically maps the longest living people in the world, centurions. Even when they have dead and gone, they've studied their life. And there are certain countries and places of the world where these centurions. So Japan right now has the most centurions per capita. People live very long in Japan, but there are places in China, in the US, in California. It's a Seventh-day Adventist faith, and I could go on and on. The book tells all of that. And you study their lifestyle, what you'll recognize is that the social determinants determines the longevity and quality of life. Now, everything has a risk, clearly, but there are other things that you could just have genetically and so on. But the probability of quality of living. So the obvious ones are exercise and good nutrition, diet. Ultra-processed foods is a major cause of concern. The chemicals in food that preserves them in the tin and all those things. In fact, going back to, go eat your green banana, your sweet potato, and your yam. Still a lot of carbs, but complex carbs break down easier, better for the body, as opposed to the whole heap of tin, nice-looking pink meat that come out of the tin that them color with some dye that is carcinogenic, cancer-causing. So nutrition is key, which is why we push things like nutrition policy in schools, which is why we have an executive chef that is promoting good nutrition. Physical activity, critical. People must learn to walk and run or ride and swim and whatever. And you don't need to go to a gym, so it doesn't have to be expensive. Walking around your neighborhood is good. And if you're consistent with that, then it says a lot about your quality of life over time. But the other, rest is also important. Lack of rest is highly overrated. Overrated. And we're in a culture where people think that they should have bragging rights for not sleeping last night. Especially young people. No, I'm not asking you to be lazy, by the way, though. You must put in your fair day's work for your fair day's pay. But there I am reserved for resting. And sleeping alone is not resting, right? Resting the brain, the mind. Because you could be working 18-hour days, which is hastening your demise, even though you think you're achieving a whole heap. And you have to reflect on that. And you have to create, as leaders, opportunity for staff around wellness within the organization to support these things. And there are other things that are important to them, obviously. But there are two other things that I think are important to quality and longevity of life, which is often not written by a clinician. Three to my mind. I add the third one. Yeah, the theory of Christopherson, longevity of life. Just the third one, right? Out of the 6, I had 1. The 2 is called a sense of purpose. I don't believe in retirement, and I'm not that you shouldn't retire, but I think everybody must get up in the morning with something to do. Retirement is overrated too. Thinking that you have nothing to do will turn you worthless, stop your brain working, and then it starts to deteriorate faster. And unfortunately, in the context of Jamaica, where you're having an aging population, less young people having children, and I do expect all the ladies here within 5 years to get pregnant. Don't curse me over that, right? But it's a good thought. Got the population declining, which means that all the men in the room will become fathers, responsible parents. What do you say about that, boss? Definitely. It's not like him sorted out already, right? But a sense of purpose is a very important thing. Good leaders must always have a sense of purpose, and they must transmit that to those they lead. That could be short, medium, and long term. People must, there is a culture in the society where people think if they come to work and clock in and clock out, they have worked. You're really not sure what you achieve, You just clock in and clock out. You are going to work 8 to 5 or 8 to 4. I am at work. But when you really assess the output, and leaders have to convince the people who they work with or who work for the particular company or otherwise, and indeed good leaders will accommodate personalized self of purpose. I don't mean you're going to give away money to people because they want to go on a church trip or go a football match. But nothing wrong with buying a few tickets and giving it out to your staff if they want to go watch the Reggae Girls this weekend. It's highly incentivizing them and make them feel like they're part of something, right? Sense of purpose, very important. And you must reflect on it. You must reflect on it. I am very clear in my mind, if God spare my life for the next 20 years, what I want to become or how I'd like to end up. Right? And there are multiple things, whether it's family related, personally, or otherwise. The other one is a sense of belonging. Sense of what it is? It's called loneliness. Loneliness. That's why we have so much scamming in America, It's normally old people who live by themselves, children abandon them. And by the way, Jamaica is heading there. Because they're over 60s and 65s, they don't want to live with their up every morning and look on the wall. They don't have no orchid patch, no church group, no community thing. And so they have nobody around them. And loneliness is a very devastating thing for your mental health. Now, it doesn't mean that you must just follow the crowd. And this is where good leaders come in. A sense of belonging could be your partner, whoever that partner is, and you know that you are not judgmental in that circle. It could be your church choir, the 3 sisters on the choir that you're close to. It could be, it's a safe space. In mental health, we talk about a safe space and where you can just tune out the mind. We must have it as leaders. We must transmit it to those who we are leading. Otherwise, it's hard for them to share the vision that you have. The people you lead must feel vested in your vision and believe that you care about them as much as how you care about yourself. You get it? Very important. Note that. I use the example of sense of belonging of the sitcom called Cheers. Anybody ever watch that sitcom? It's one of they're doing reruns now because it's out of style. The older people like me, remember the days of Cheers. Anybody know what this song say that starts Cheers? I'll just give you 2 lines. It says, where everybody knows your name. You want to be where... I can't sing. Don't read me fast, Latino. No, I can't sing it. You know the song, right? Go Google it. Cheers. It's one of the nicest songs. And the story is just around a bar and about 4 characters around the bar with the bartender. Same people, same setting. And they come into the bar. One is a postman, one is a something else, an executive, whatever. And they come in and they have conversation. But there's just a sense of belonging. These guys are my friends. It's like family. Like the guys under the mango tree. Important. You have to find people who you have the same mindset. Negative energy is a very bad thing and has a consequence on you. Hanging around people who is just pulling you down, discouraging you, not encouraging you, always being critical of everything you do or say. Not that you can't take criticism, but it must be done in a way that is uplifting you. I avoid negative energy. God knows I have enough of it every day through media and social media. I'm sure you have seen the TikToks about me, right? You haven't seen the TikTok about me? Oh, yes, man. I'm like a star. 99% of which I did not create. And I know nothing about. But guess what? It don't bother me. Because I breathe in and breathe out every morning. 4 o'clock, exercise, think positively, keep my focus, shut out the noise, and just do what I have to do. The third and the 6th one, which I said is kind of my own thought, because I do believe in it, around leadership and followership, is really the concept of volunteerism. I do believe that at some point in our lives, we must come to terms with this concept of giving back without expectations. It's a powerful thing. In fact, I've tested several times, right? I mean, I'm a public servant. Yes, I do get paid. But if I were in the private sector, I know I'll get a lot more pay. No matter what they say, it's like a pittance me earn. You agree with that? Of course you would. I know. But there is a saying that it is more rewarding to give than to receive. When you help someone, one of the joys of my work is when I help a child to go to school and they graduate. You tend not to get a lot of thanks, but the few that you get is quite powerful because you know you have transformed someone's life. So you hear me talk about my charity Hummingbird that I'm the patron of. We give shoes to kids in school who don't have shoes. That's called Soul to Soul. So we literally have given out thousands of pairs of shoes. We have a mobile food truck that feeds the infirm and streetless people called Hummingbird Feeds. And we do that, whenever, team up with the parish municipal authority and so on. And we have a men's clinic that screens men, prostate screening and so on, because men tend to live less than women because they don't tend to go to the doctor. And we do other things. But it is a joy you will find if you carve out a space and indeed encourage an organizational culture to give back. We don't have a lot of corporate social responsibility or not enough in our cultural landscape. Not something that you're taught in a classroom. I don't think enough of it actually. But it's something that goes a long way to make you a better human being and will make you feel better about yourself. And to the extent that you encourage others around you to do it, maybe very small, maybe just a little event that you help to fundraise, to give a little charity, whatever, then I think you create a better sense of purpose sense of belonging, and a better motivated set of folks to move towards their whatever target. I am happy to always speak to this cohort of young people who are going into the world, who will see the world as a place to conquer, but easily get frustrated when they hear that the boss says you may have a degree, but that don't entitle you to management. You need to go down there to go learn from the ground up. Standard. Anybody knows the type of job I used to do when I grew up? My first book, State of Mind. So let me tell you something I've done. I've worked with a landscaping company in a foreign. You know what that means? Go in the back of a truck, travel 100 miles, and work with the man who would take out the tree them. Because they plant tree clear, the tree big. The plant. I used to work at a gas station one time. And you know what the boss used to let me do? Walk out his puss every evening. I didn't know that a cat could be so trained that you have to put it on a leash and walk it around the place and sit down on that tree with the cat until the cat did their private thing. And you have to take it up, by the way, which I think is a good thing. And we're getting accustomed to that culture. But I learned to love animals. I have a lovely dog who's like my friend, right? Huh? What breed? You guess which one? No, not a German Shepherd. Anybody knows Dr. Box? You know, we introduced animal health therapy at Bustamante, right? Yes, we have a dog there. He is called Dr. Barks, Teddy Barks. And he provides animal therapy to patients, staff. And it's the most wonderful thing ever when he visits. The patients love him. The staff love him even more. And they unleash a lot of their stress on Dr. Barks just by hugging him up, right? It's a very common thing throughout the world, and we have started it here. So I have the brother of Dr. Barks. Anyway, the point is that it's all in us to be good leaders. Your training prepares you to apply discipline, not necessarily to apply all the specific features of leadership, but the discipline to provide guidance, to advance vision, to mobilize people, and to have your plan. And your context determines your leadership, because you have to adjust to the game that you are, the bowling that you get. And that applies in every sphere, including business. But you are young, and you'll make mistakes, you will learn. True leaders understand that they make mistakes. You just get up and brush off, learn from it. Don't be too big to not admit it, and make sure you don't happen again, and you become a better person over time. And that's my hope for all of you. Thank you very much. God bless.
Dr. Tufton, that was an excellent performance, sir. Presentation, rather. I will now invite Nathaniel Powell of the Community Service and Conference Committee to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. I adopt the protocols previously established. So today, I have the honor of delivering the vote of thanks to the Honorable Dr. Christopher Tufton for his meaningful presentation on health and wellness. Dr. Tufton, thank you for sharing your time, knowledge, and valuable insights with us this morning. Your message has reminded us that having a dedicated vision of a plan is our greatest wealth, and that wellness is something we must actively protect through wise choices, balance, and self-care. Your words have encouraged us to place greater focus on both or leadership qualities. We truly appreciate your dedication to improving the lives of Jamaicans and your continued service to our country. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us and to inspire us all today. On behalf of everyone here, I extend sincere thanks and best wishes.
By the way, I didn't answer the question about my dog. It's a golden retriever.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'm kindly asking everyone to be seated as we